Well, good afternoon and welcome to UK Media, also known as Undercover Kitty. Wanted to introduce you to this new format that I'm going to try. Actually, I can't take credit for it entirely. A fellow blogger of mine came up with the idea, Dan Dix, of Press for Truth. Keep in mind that I did run a printed blog for some time, but I decided to try a different format, and he gave me the idea through one of his posts, actually, on a video blog idea, and I thought it seemed like a pretty good idea. I did give it give thought to several different ideas, and after seeing his, I couldn't help but, this is probably the way to go. Anyway, what I'm going to do today is just talk a little bit about some of the recent events, actually one particular recent political event that is really frying my ass, and I suspect doing the same for a lot of other Canadians. Our fearless leader, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has decided to go on a cross-Canada tour with what he calls these town hall meetings, where supposedly he goes in to small little towns, big towns, and in what is supposed to be a nice, cozy, comfortable setting, has a few hundred members of the community show up and ask him questions. Of course, the questions are probably vetted. I don't know that, of course, for a fact, but some of them are, I'm sure, are vetted questions, and people are actually selected to ask certain questions. Well, one question that was asked of Trudeau, I think it was yesterday, in fact, I believe it was in Edmonton, it was asked by a veteran, a combat veteran, about why it is that the veterans are not being properly looked after. Let's keep in mind that these combat veterans, military veterans, many of them senior citizens as well from conflicts previously, come back either physically injured, some don't come back at all alive, others suffer the effects of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, if anybody's ever lived with somebody who has post-traumatic stress disorder, I can tell you categorically that it is not a fun experience. It is something that, unless you live with it, you can't possibly understand what that's about. That includes people who don't live with it, but people who live with people who live with it, because it's very unique to the individual who is experiencing it. So this combat veteran of one of the Iraq wars, or Afghanistan rather, sorry, asks why Trudeau is not looking after the veterans.
My name is Brock Blaschuk. I'm a retired corporal with the Canadian Light Infantry out here in Edmonton, 1st Battalion. I served in the Canadian Armed Forces for 7 years. I deployed in Afghanistan back in 2009 until April 3rd, where I was obviously severely wounded by a roadside bomb or improvised explosive. As you can see, I've lost my left leg. I have 58% soft tissue loss and 88% nerve damage on my right leg. Back on August 24th, 2015, you made the promise, and I'll quote it here, "No veteran will be forced to fight their own government for the support and compensation they have earned." Yet you are still currently in a legal battle with veterans regarding equal support and compensation to their peers. You have ISIL or ISIS members coming into a reintegration program. You did a backdoor deal with Omar Khadr with not even stepping into the courtroom. Because honestly, Mr. Prime Minister, I was prepared to be injured in the line of duty when I joined the military. Nobody forced me to join the military. I was prepared to be killed in action. What I wasn't prepared for, Mr. Prime Minister, is Canada turning its back on me.
On a couple of elements you brought up. First of all, why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court because they are asking for more than we are able to give right now. They are asking for more than we... Well, no. Hang on. You're asking for honest answers. Why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court? Because they are asking for more than we are able to give right now.
Remember, these veterans signed up voluntarily. They didn't get forced to join. They made a commitment to their country. Duty, honor, loyalty, integrity, respect. Their first duty was to their country. That's what they signed up for. They got asked to go to a combat situation, knowing full well that, you can come back in a box or come back injured or come back with some emotional baggage. Rather than answer the question in a simple and respectful manner, Trudeau had the audacity to tell this person, who ended up losing one leg and came back with many other severe injuries, that, and I quote, "You're asking more than we can afford." Well, no, the combat veterans are not asking for more than what they can afford. But let's take a look at what can be afforded here. Trudeau seems to have no problem affording over $5 billion for his so-called refugee project from terrorist countries where more than 80% of the people that are being brought in here are never going to work a day in their life. They're going to live on government handouts, and they're going to live better than most Canadians are ever going to live. Trudeau had no problem finding billions of dollars to give to Iran, the #1 state-sponsored terrorist country in the world. That was to help their economy, not ours. Trudeau has no money for our homeless people. He has no money for our poor. Has no money for our senior citizens. Has no money for important things that Canadians need. He didn't even have the audacity to give one thin dime when BC's forest fires were happening. He didn't even bother showing up for Remembrance Day celebrations. However, he did seem to find $10.5 million to give to a convicted, confessed, murdering international terrorist, who I might add has been photographed, and there are photographs circulating of him making improvised explosive devices. And you have to wonder, how many of those explosive devices were used to kill Canadian soldiers, to injure Canadian soldiers? The very Canadian soldiers that Mr. Trudeau is telling us that he doesn't have the money for because they are asking for too much. Omar Khadr got $10.5 million of our wonderful dollars. 3 other international terrorists got secret deals of $10.5 million. However, Trudeau, in true cowardly fashion, couldn't even be in the country for when those announcements were made because he knew what the backlash would be. Of course, he was probably vacationing in one of his Muslim friends' private islands, which, that shouldn't surprise anybody. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the leader that we have for our country. He's going to turn this country into an Islamic state. That is his whole goal. He has absolutely no care or concern for Canadians. And you would think that as a leader of a huge and free country and democratic country like what we have, that we got on the backs of our soldiers, that he would have a little bit more respect for the dignity of our soldiers. But no, apparently, according to him, our soldiers are asking for too much. Mr. Trudeau, I have a couple words for you. Whether you'll ever see this or not, I don't know. I kind of doubt it. But Mr. Trudeau, elections are coming. I really hope you have yourself a good retirement plan, sir, because you're not getting re-elected. Nobody in their right mind is going to elect a pathetic, individual like you who has absolutely no care or concern for Canadians, but you have absolutely no shortage of our money to simply give away to terrorists and other useless things and individuals. So, Mr. Trudeau, those are my words for you. I hope you enjoy what's left of your prime ministership, and good luck to you in the future. You're going to need it. For UK Media, I'm out of here. Bye for now.